All right, so I just did this is Secondary Math 1, Term 1, practice test. I just did 1 through 15, so if you need that, go back to that video, but we're gonna continue with 16 to 30. So for this problem, what we're trying to do is figure out what's the equation of the line. So the way I teach my students is these are ordered pairs. Technically, this is the first one and there's one block. This is the second item and you can see there's 3 blocks. This is the third value and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. And this is 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks. So for ease, I'm just going to pick these last two. So this is going to be my x1, y1 and my x2, y2. I know my slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 7 minus 5 and 4 minus 3. So 2 over 1 is 2. So I know my slope is 2, so for sure it's not going to be A or B, because I already know my slope is 2. Then I'm going to use my x1, y1, this 3, 5, and I'm going to say y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So y minus that 5, my slope is 2, and x minus 3. So I'm going to distribute y minus 5 equals 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And then I'm going to add 5 on both sides. So y equals 2x minus 1. So the correct answer is C. Number 17 is asking us which of these represents a linear relationship. So linear means we have a consistent slope. So you could continue doing this y2 minus y1, or you can just see right here I would be adding 2, but right here I'd add 4 and add 8. Really it's multiplying by 2, so that is not a consistent slope. Looking at this next one, I am subtracting 10, subtracting 5, subtracting 5. That's not consistent. Looking at C, you can see I'm adding 3, adding 3, adding 3. This is consistent. And right here, this one is adding 6, adding 3, adding 3. Not consistent. That's all you're really looking for. The next one we have is again my x1, y1 and my x2, y2. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1 over my x2 minus x1. It's the same slope equation we used up here on 16. So 7 minus 5 is 2, 10 minus 7 is 3, and so 2/3 is the correct answer, A. Looking at number 18, it's asking us which of these has the greatest slope, which means the highest, right? So knowing right here, I know that y equals mx plus b, that this 6 is my slope. The next question says, or part says, the total number of pennies in a jar is, you start with 2 and then you add 3. So whatever you're adding, that's your slope. So far 3 is less than 6, so it's not that one. Right here we can take these 2 points. We'll take 3, 2, and 4, 4. And we've got x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 2 over 1 is 2. And 2 is still less than 6, so it's not that one. And from D, we want to do, because it's a graph, we can do rise over run, or you could pick 2 points. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go from this point to this point because I can clearly see it. So I can see it's going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So up 5, rise, and run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, run 5. Oh, the slope's 1. That's less than 6, so my answer is A. Looking on to number 20. So it's asking us for the x and y intercepts. So if we want an x-intercept, remember we want to put 0 in for y, so that'd be 3x plus 2 times 0 equals 24, or 3x plus 0 equals 24. Subtract that 0. 3x is 24, and when we divide by 3, x is 8. So right here we can see the x-intercept is 8, so we know it's not B or D. Right? Because we want to know that we already know that the x-intercept is 8. Moving on to the y-intercept. If I want the y-intercept, I'm going to put the x as 0. So I'm going to have 3 times 0 plus 2y equals 24. That's 0. Go ahead and subtract the 0. So now I have 2y equals 24. And when I divide by 2, y is 12. And so that's why my answer is C. Okay, so if you watched my notes, we talked about increasing because that's what's on the quiz and the test, but this one is a review, so we talked about decreasing. So if you would have said increasing, sorry, this is at 0, -1, -2, -3. So increasing would have been from -3, and it's touching, it's close, so I'm going to say equal to -2, but that's a point of change. And it's also increasing right here from 0 to 1 to 2. So from 0 to 2. So increasing, that would have been this guy. Okay, but it asked me for decreasing. And decreasing is when it's going down from left to right. So that would have been from -2 to 0. And so it looks like this. It's called, so this is just our regular notation. But this is called interval notation. So if you want more information, you can Google interval notation and you can look up more about that. Okay, 22, it says, so which one is she increasing the most? Meaning we want the steepest slope. So right here you can see we went from 4 to about 7. So it was an increase of 3. Right here we went from 7 to 10. 7 to 10 is also an increase of 3. And then from 10 to 15, that's an increase of 5. And so that is the steepest slope between 20 and 30 seconds. And 23, it says, what's the equation of the line? So if you remember from our graphing point, we said that this is our y-intercept. So -3 is our y-intercept that says positive, and this one says positive, so we're down to just B or C. And then we know that we can do rise over run for our slope. So looking right here, I would say that it went up 2 over 1 or 2. So my answer is C. Now this one, it kind of, you could have done the same thing. You could have grabbed 2 points and found the slope and the y-intercept and gone with that. But I think the easiest thing on this one is to find the y-intercept and the slope. But here we don't have a choice. This is my x1, y1. And again, the equation is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So y minus this -8. It says that the slope is 6. Oh, wait. Write an equation of the line passing through this point. Yeah, 8. And then x minus that -1. I'm going to remind you that when we have a double negative, we want to change that to a positive first. And then we're going to distribute y plus 8 equals 8x plus 8. And then we want y by itself. It says plus 8. Why are none of these? Oh no, I did 8 instead of 6. I am so sorry. Glad I saw that. So we would have 6x plus 6, sorry about that. And then we would subtract 8 from both sides. And so that's how I get y equals 6x minus 2. And so that's why it's C. So sorry about that little bit of confusion there. All right, so 25, it says, how would the graph of y equals 5x plus 3 be affected if it was changed to y equals 3x minus 5? So unfortunately they changed a couple things. So on the test it's very clear, I think, but let's start with this slope. So for the slope we went from 5 to 3, so we went down, it went less steep. So the slope of the line would not become steeper, it would become less steep. So that's a true statement. But unfortunately, we did a lot of things. So this is also the y-intercept. The y-intercept went from 3 to -5. So it went to a smaller y-intercept as well. Both those statements are true. This one says, which of these is the domain? Domain is the x value. So I'm going to just follow through here. So right here you can see I've got a -4. I've got a -3. Then a 0, then a 2, and a 7. And so that's why B is the correct answer for the domain. Okay. just gotta switch this. Okay, and so for our next one, it says, if X is the number of people attending a movie at the Cinemax, what is a reasonable domain? So what we want is like integers is like negative numbers, which we cannot have negative people, so we're not going to say that. Rational numbers means we can have like half a person, and same thing with real numbers. It means that we could have half a person. So it's actually going to be whole numbers, which means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay, which one does not represent a function? So a function means there is no repeated x value. So not a function means that there is repeated x values. So right here, 8, 66, 3, 7, 5, there was no repeat, so that is a function. 8, 6, 13, 7, negative 5, that's a function. 2, 7, 9, negative 2, 8, that's a function. Right here I can see that we have a negative 7 and a negative 7, so that is not a function. 29, which one is not a function? So same thing. First of all, looking at our x values, no repeat, so that is a function. Right here, even though there's repeated y values, all we care about is the x value, so that is not a function. Oh, right here, we can see it does not pass the vertical line test, so this is not a function. Just going through here again though, none of these lay on top of each other. It passes the vertical line test, so that is a function as well. So C. Last one, it says a car has 18 gallons of gas in its tank when it starts its journey on a long highway trip. Gasoline is used at a rate of 3 gallons per mile per hour. The gallons of G remaining in the tank is this. So here's my equation. And so it says, what does G of 2? Well, first of all, T, it says T is the tank time. T is hours. So first of all, we're looking for 2 hours. So 12 hours, 2 hours. So that for sure works. So we're wanting is, what is G? And it says G is gallons remaining. So it says that we have 12 gallons remaining. So this says 12 gallons of gas remaining. This just says 12 gallons of gas. So A is the more correct answer. Good luck on your test.